So I thought I'd talk about the difference between the Yamaha Modx and the Roland Fantom. I know a lot of people compare these keyboards, and when they're buying a keyboard, they tend to want to know which one's better. So I'm going to talk about the difference between the two, what I found. Bearing in mind, I'm a progressive rock keyboard player. So if you play, you know, gospel in a church, or if you do hip-hop sort of electronic music, I'm not going to talk about drum machines or sequencers or anything. I don't use them enough. I do use arpeggiators and sequencers a little bit, but I don't use very often drum machines or anything. So I'm just going to talk about live instruments and what I found is good and bad about each individual keyboard. So starting with the Yamaha. The strength of the Yamaha is acoustic and orchestral instruments. Pianos are great. There's a lot of aftermarket pianos that you can, you know, load onto the system, and people tend to ask which piano is better. I like the CFX that it comes with. It's a really good keyboard. You can tweak it to modify it and suit your own sort of needs, but I don't find anything wrong with the CFX piano. In fact, I've tried all the other ones and I've just deleted them all. They're good, but to my ears, they're not worth, you know, the memory, loading up the memory when the piano is already pretty good. The electric pianos are really, really good. The Wurlitzer, the harpsichords, the cathedral church organs are good. Better than the Roland, in my opinion. The Roland has okay, like, sort of principal and chapel organs. They're good. But the cathedral is muddy and phasey and sounds strange. Whereas the cathedral on this is a lot better. Tone wheel organ. So if I needed sort of a background tone wheel organ on the Yamaha, I suppose, you know, I could use it. But if I wanted like Deep Purple, Emerson, Lake and Palmer style stuff, the Yamaha doesn't really do it unless you hook it up to an iPad, which I do. The iPad is really useful. This hooks straight up to the iPad. I can even charge it and use it just with a lightning in there, and it will charge and I can use it at the same time the way I've got it set up. Really, really good. I use this as a MIDI controller to get killer Hammond sounds. In fact, how good are the Hammond sounds on the iPad? Jordan Rudess from Dream Theater was asked to play with Deep Purple. Deep Purple's known for their Hammond organ sounds, and Jordan Rudess, for his Hammond organ and his Leslie setup, exclusively he used live the iPad to get all those Hammond organ sounds. So that tells you how good the Hammond organ sounds are in the iPad. So I can get good Hammond organ sounds from the Modx as long as I've hooked it up to the iPad. As well as that, there's the Farfisa for the early Pink Floyd stuff. You know, Oberheims, all that kind of stuff. Mini Moog. I've got a lot of apps. Korg, all the good Korg, classic Korgs, you can buy for the iPad. One of the strengths, the only weakness I would say as far as acoustic instruments go is the bagpipes and the didgeridoo. The Roland, the bagpipes on here doesn't sound like bagpipe, unusable. And same with the didgeridoo, where on the Roland, there's two bagpipes. There's a Scottish and Irish bagpipes. They both sound really good. I've used them to record and they sound like bagpipes. And the didgeridoo is really good too. The didgeridoo sounds like a didgeridoo. That's one of the strengths that this has, a strange little surprise. That was really a weakness with the Yamaha. So the Yamaha's got... The other thing the Yamaha has is extreme details. When you go from one to the other, you notice a lot of detail with the Yamaha. So for example, if you've got a Wurlitzer sound, I've exaggerated the sounds here to exaggerate like clicking sounds and when you lift your fingers off. You can kind of hear... I mean, that's an exaggerated sound, but you can hear a lot of detail, a lot of things going on, a lot of clicking and unusual noise, like when you lift your hands off. That's the same with the pedal too. When you lift your foot off the pedal for a piano, you can get that piano where the thing, and with a harpsichord, same thing. You can get where when you lift your fingers off. A lot of detail. So good. All those good sounds. There's only other. FM synthesis is good on this as well. So, I mean, it is a DX7, isn't it? Modx. So you've got all those really nice, high detailed, good quality DX7 sounds, all those fat brass sounds, good on this as well. Again, I've managed to dial in an okay emergency organ here. So okay Hammond organ sound, but it's not as good as the Roland. I can get okay Moog sounds. They're okay usable Moog sounds. But that's from downloading from Easy Sounds, a company, Easy Sounds. They do packages called Fat Analog and Analog Experience. I have them all. I'm using Fat Analog 1 for like Moog sounds, Fat Analog 2 for Oberheim. Number 3 is supposed to be Juno. It sounds good, but they don't sound like a Juno. And I found, again, very expressive for the Moog sounds and on all that kind of stuff. It's sensitive. It sounds different compared to how you play it, like the action. So it's very expressive, extremely expressive, detailed instrument, Modx. So that would have to be its strengths. Its weaknesses is something that I love. 80s, being brought up in the 80s, you know, Jupiter 8, Michael Jackson Thriller, all those Jupiter 8 sounds, all those UK pop bands that came across with those Roland Junos and the JX10, the Super JX, which is, you know, on Pink Floyd Momentary Lapse of Reason. I love all those warm, fat Roland sounds, which this doesn't really do. Besides an okay Moog, you know, it doesn't do a Prophet 5 very well. It does a couple of Oberheim. It does pads okay, but it doesn't really do those fat, punchy, warm analog sounds. I suppose FM is a good compromise with this. If you get like brass FM, you can get pretty good sounds with the FM as opposed to the sample engine. The Roland, okay, so the Roland pianos, I would say, are not as good. All the electric pianos, definitely the Wurlitzer. I don't like the Wurlitzer on this. Harpsichord's okay. The church organ, as I said before, the cathedral's no good. But you know, you can, piano-wise, you can get an okay sound. You just got to look for it, search for it, tweak it, and then you can usually find a sound that's pretty good. Now, there's a caveat there. If you're doing solo piano, then I would go the Yamaha Modx. But if you're playing with a band or if it's in a mix and you're recording, the pianos actually sound good on the Roland in a mix. So they don't sound very good standalone, but they sound good in a mix. So there is that to consider. It has okay symphonics. It's got good saxophone. The supernatural saxophone is pretty good. Yeah, I don't like the Rhodes or anything like that. It's okay. It's just nothing compared to the Yamaha. Where this kills it and kicks is the fat analog sounds. This is where it's at. So if you want Juno sounds, in fact, I've downloaded all the expansion packs onto this Roland. So if you've got if you want like that fat, this has got the Juno, the Jupiter 8. In fact, that hissing, I don't know if you can hear that hissing, is this natural sound of the Juno chorus. You can tweak the amount of noise because the Juno chorus has noise. It's got even got the noise in there. The Jupiter 8, the Juno, the JX10. So it's got like that. Well, JX8P it is, but you can get JX10 sounds out of it. The Super JX used in Pink Floyd Momentary Lapse of Reason. All those late 80s, you know, really warm analog sounds. And it's got the SH101, which is, you know, you can get some really good Moog sounds with the SH101. You can also get, I found Poly 6 type sounds. So if you're into kind of like Jens Johansson, it gets that really nasal Alan Holdsworth sound that I found that I can't get on the Yamaha. I can get it on this. So for all those sounds, all those big, you know, Jupiter 8 sounds, yeah, I spend a lot of time on the Roland. I play it more than the Yamaha, and it is because I was brought up in the 80s. I love those 80s warm, punchy sounds, and that's what the Roland gets. If you're after synthesizer sounds, fat Moogs and Prophet 5s and all that kind of stuff, then that's what the Roland's really, that's its strength. Its strength is the analog synthesizers and the tone wheel organ. So the tone wheel organ, yeah, it's a weird way to access it. You have to press zone, select, and 2, but that'll bring up the tone wheel organ engine. Now, I own the VR730, which is Roland's, you know, Hammond organ. This has almost the same sounds as good as sounds as the other one. In fact, it's leisurely and its distortion is better. So if I don't have, you know, the Hammond app, this has a really good tone wheel sound. So if I can just punch one in. So, you know, like this is a Pink Floyd style one. You got a Deep Purple. So there you go. So that's the two differences between the two keyboards.